Have you ever felt every eye in the room locked on you, waiting for you to fail? That crushing pressure, like a heavy door slammed shut right in your face. That's exactly how my journey at Ironclad training began. It was like stepping into a challenge no one expected me to handle, a test designed for someone else entirely. No one bothered to hide it. The bar was set just high enough so they could label me a loser and keep the ranks exclusive. It wasn't about safety or readiness. It was about making sure folks like me, Avery, a woman from small town, without the right connections, never got past the gate. But I didn't show up at Ironclad that chilly March morning to plead for a chance. I came to take it step for step, inch for inch. If they raised the stakes to block me, they better be ready to watch me climb. The first day was brutal. Fog hung low over the training yard, everything painted in a cold gray light. 60 candidates stood in rough formation, 59 guys and me. My breath steamed in the air, boots planted firm, waiting for the starting call. The guys around me either ignored me or muttered under their breath about how my place was just a token spot, or that someone's influential uncle had pulled strings. I clenched my pack tighter, eyes fixed ahead, ready for the real test. The obstacle course was a gauntlet. Ropes that tore your hands, walls that loomed like giants, muddy trenches that sucked your boots, and sleds heavy enough to break your back. In the first group, a guy behind me bumped the rope, sending me tumbling face first into the dirt. Gear scattered. From the sidelines came whistles and laughter. I wiped the mud off my face, biting back the sting, because that's exactly what they wanted, a crack in my armor. Lieutenant Harris barked from the side, "This isn't a playground." The others chuckled, but the instructors stayed silent, their eyes sharp. That's when I realized where the line was drawn, where they expected me to stop. But I didn't. I finished last that round, but I finished. Next was marksmanship. While jogging to my lane, someone shoved me just enough to throw me off balance. No apology. I shrugged it off and settled in lane 5. The targets didn't care who was shooting, only whether the bullet hit the mark. I breathed steady, aimed, and every shot landed clean. Let the whispers continue. Later, in the barracks, I found a small supply closet turned break room. Leaning against the cold metal wall, I pulled out a worn photo from my deployment in Syria. Me on one side, my best friend Kira on the other. Kira was the first to treat me like a soldier, not just a girl tagging along. In the heat of battle, it didn't matter who you were, only that you had each other's backs. We joked about desert heat versus mountain cold, swapped a single pair of night vision goggles like they were treasure. I promised her, if the worst happened, she'd pull me out before anyone else noticed. But she didn't make it. Friendly fire in a narrow alley. I held her as she faded away, her last words burning into me. "It's not on you. Fix it." After months of recovery and running lonely night drills back home, when Ironclad opened a spot for former Special Forces, I signed up, left out the medals and the pain, just put down Special Ops Instructor, and sent in my application. Some folks in supply called me reckless, patched together by shrapnel and grit. I told them if no one else would break the walls down, I'd be the one to run through. Exclusion at Ironclad wasn't always loud rejection. Often, it was silence, missed messages, phantom training slots, glitches in communication. Jokes whispered just loud enough to sting. I started keeping a list of who blocked me and who just watched. Every time the standard shifted, more reps, less time, heavier gear, I adapted, even when my hands bled through the tape. Then, one late night, under flickering fluorescent lights, a junior instructor named Davis, who never said a word to me before, slid a fresh bottle of gun oil into my pack. No words, just a nod like he wasn't sure if he should care, but couldn't ignore me anymore. That's when it hit me. The walls were higher, but I'd grown taller. Later, a photo leaked online with the headline, "Ironclad Trading Skill for Politics." No names, but everyone knew who they meant. They called me Princess behind closed doors, even taped a pink crown to my locker. I folded the note and tucked it away. When you sat with a dying friend in a war zone and come home standing, plastic tiaras don't mean a thing. Week after week, I smashed every new standard. First to the mark, first across the finish line. No cheers, just quiet grudging nods and clipboards snapping shut. Then the leaks came out. proof the whole selection was rigged to make me fail. Suddenly, the loudest critics were reassigned, and investigations tore through every rule bent against me. For the first time, the joke wasn't on me. That's the irony. A system built to exclude ends up breaking itself. The rules quietly shift. Unified standards, no secret hurdles. The same guys who snickered now ask, "Hey Avery, can you show me that new reload technique?" The ones who stood on the sidelines now train beside me, asking for tips. Change tastes like a quiet victory, a nod, an unspoken apology. The real test came during a live hostage situation, 10 floors up, no second chances. The main team planned a frontal assault, but I spotted a maintenance shaft no one was using. I laid out the plan, led my squad through the vents, and took down the hostage takers silently. The hostages were safe. For once, I wasn't the headline. I was part of the story. After that, the small gestures kept coming. Notes slipped into my locker, other women arriving early for extra practice, recruits helping each other instead of mocking mistakes. The jokes about baking cookies stopped. Someone said, "She wants us all to come home." That's the legacy Kira wanted, not medals or headlines, but doors that stay open long after you walk through. When the final trial came, I led the assault team, not as a token, but because I was the best choice. The sergeant said, "She taught me the best corner shot." Now, I don't need medals or speeches. Respect shows in how my team moves, how we cover one another. Nobody asks if I belong anymore. I just do. The last doubter slid me a canteen and muttered, "You shot damn well today." I smiled and said, "Next time, I want tighter cover fire. I'm not here for compliments." Yeah, that happened. Here's the thing. Standards aren't walls to keep people out. They show who's ready to hold the line. I was first through that door, but now, every week, someone else steps through a little easier because I left it open behind me. The real win? When they don't need you to prove it anymore because they trust what they see. Maybe you see it differently. Maybe you think tradition should stay strong or standards raised higher. Or maybe you've been the outsider, fighting just to get in. So where do you draw the line between holding tradition and making room for change? Would you defend the old ways or tear down walls for something better? Drop your thoughts below. Let's break some habits together. And if this story resonates, share it or tell someone who needs to hear that it's not about taking the first step. It's about holding the door open for the next person. That's how real change happens, one tough, relentless climb at a time. Change isn't easy, especially when it means challenging the rules set by those who came before. But real progress happens when someone refuses to accept impossible and keeps pushing, breaking barriers for those who follow. It's not just about proving you belong. It's about making space for others to belong too. Every door held open, every quiet nod of respect is a victory against exclusion. So whether you're the first to step through or the next in line, remember, transformation starts with courage and ends with a legacy that lifts everyone up. What will your climb look like?